You're listening to 98.5, The Crust. Coming up on this smooth afternoon, we have a smooth selection of smooth jazz. Just kidding. Chuck here. That's why I'm not allowed to do the introductions. So, I wanted to make this short promo video to tell you about the hottest new podcast that has to do with music and the guitar. It's called the Dallas Guitar Podcast, and it is created and run by none other than one of my best friends in life, Mr. Josh Mills. I know Josh through the classical guitar. We met in our master's program, and we certainly have that in common amongst a number of other things. We're both into a lot of different kinds of music, and you'll get to hear about these things, when you listen to the podcast. Josh had the idea to start this podcast way back when we were in grad school, and then now it's come to fruition. He's got 12 episodes up to date, and it's a number of really interesting topics, and on many of them he'll let me kind of be his right hand man on the podcast, because I just like to hang out and I don't have anything better to do. But we did do a couple of episodes about basically all the musical work that I'm doing, online and otherwise, publishing arrangements and compositions, the A guitar community, what that's about, and kind of how all that came to be. So it's very relevant for subscribers of this channel. If you were interested in kind of how this channel came to be, the motivations and inspirations behind it, I think you'll find probably answers to all your questions and more in these 2 episodes that we did. It was really fun. Josh asked really great questions, so it was a great conversation. So far, amongst these 12 episodes, I'm looking at them. You can find these. He's got them posted on a number of places: Spotify, Buzzsprout, iTunes, or that icon on your iPhone that says podcast. Is that iTunes? I don't know, but you can find it there. And of course the website, DallasGuitarPodcast.com. I'll put all of this, all these links in the info below. But so far the topics of conversation kind of run from musical groups that we admire and like to listen to and like to talk about. We had an episode about our teacher, Robert Guthrie. If you've ever seen me do an instructional video, you've probably heard me mention him. If you want to know what he's about and kind of hear us swap some funny stories and some not so funny stories about him, then that's a good place to find that. We did an episode recently with our mutual friend, Sebastian Rositsky. Sebastian is starting his own music production company. So that was very fun and very interesting. And the most recent episode, Josh, he went to a guitar festival here in Dallas at the University of Texas in Dallas, and sat in on a master class. And he wrote down all that he saw and heard, and then talked about his reflections on those topics. So really, really interesting stuff, and there's certainly a lot more to come. So check it out. If you're into the guitar, if you're into music, it'll be worth your while. So what I've put together here in this video is just a few snippets from the episodes that have already been published. So Dallas Guitar Podcast, check it out. You'll get a preview here, but do click one of the links below so you can keep up to date with all things DGP.
Is that how it normally goes for you? You're just juggling a bunch of different projects at the same time, and then when something you feel is quote unquote recordable, you just make a day out of it, record it, and then upload it to Patreon or YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, juggling it's an appropriate word. I'm pretty disorganized, but I don't like to work on stuff if I don't feel like working on it. So I don't.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah, but like if my reason for working on this is that I need it to be better, but in the moment I just don't care about it, I don't make myself play it. So that means sometimes I put pieces down. It means also a lot of times I'll play for hours with no goal in mind. I don't know what I'm going to do. Last night I sat down. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then two hours went by, and all I did was play scales. I don't know. I didn't plan on that.
Sounds very much like Chuck Allred.
I mean, it's just, you know what this is like. It's just like you're going to do, I don't know. It's just, that's what happened. That's what I needed to do. And when I sat down, I was thinking like, okay, you're working on this, you know. If you want to do some review pieces, here's what they might be. In the meanwhile, I started playing scales, and I just forgot about everything else. So that kind of felt like what I needed to do. But I'll usually have some projects kind of at the top, like these are arranged, meaning I know all the notes I'm going to play, I know the form, and I want to get these done. There'll usually be 2 or 3 of those kind of floating at the top that I know, you know, if I want to get something finished and recorded or in a place where I can try and record it, these are what you need to be working on. But I just try not to stress. And I've learned that any recording I do, it will be better if I wait. So that's it makes me feel like I'm not really sure when to record. Also, on the other side, you could just be like, we just might as well record at any time because, you know, you're going to keep figuring out more things about the guitar. You might as well just see what you sound like today.
And the first thing, once I got out my notebook, started writing things down, the first thing that I was able to write down was hear first, then transfer to the hands. And so what he was explaining to this particular student was, and I think we can all relate to this, where we just get on physical autopilot when we learn pieces. And I think it's also, you just get stuck in that habit of playing a certain way. And maybe, unfortunately, sometimes you're not necessarily hearing the music that you want to produce, and you just let your hands take over. And that was one of the first things that I was able to write down. And that's sort of a theme that it's all about musicality. He talked about a few technical things, but the main thing was he was emphasizing, for lack of a better term, the musicality of what it means to play a piece, what it means to play music. And then this became a theme throughout the entire masterclass, was this next line. Dynamics on the guitar are relative.
I need it back. Are you recording this, by the way?
Yeah, we're recording right now.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, we
saying
can,
stuff that makes sense.
We can edit it out,
Dude,
if you
cut
like.
that out.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
All right.
Is this an explicit episode?
I would like it to be clean.
Okay.
So that won't be in the episode.
Oh, dude, I gotta
Sebastian,
watch my mouth.
can you do this?
Dude, I gotta watch my mouth, man. Okay, so what if you bleep it?
No, I've bleeped myself before.
Okay, I'll do my best. So if I sit here and think for a very long time, you know why.
I mean, does it absolutely have to be a clean episode?
I would very much like it to be clean.
How far can I go?
Because
I want to know my limitations.
Dude, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen.
What the hell?
Let's give it a shot.
Okay. I'm down for giving it a
I'm
shot.
Okay,
down
I'll
for
try.
giving it a shot. If
Hold
it
on.
doesn't work,
How
we'll just
far?
kind of let it rip.
Can I
Okay,
say? Can I say? Is that okay?
See,
No.
See,
No.
he's already pushing
No,
the
like
boundaries.
what would you say at a church? Like that's my idea.
Well, you
of
can
clean.
say. You are.
It depends.
You are.
It depends on the context.
Okay.
Like if you're giving
go
a
to-
sermon and
Okay,
you're
I'm
saying,
Not what you say at church.
Okay.
man.
The goal for this podcast for me is to figure out how to say
You go to-
in the right context.
You say I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, and even when I do it again next week, I won't mean it then either. That's what you say at
I'll
church.
do my best. So if
this
you
might
see,
be
if
in
you see me,
this might be in the podcast, even if it makes it to clean. By the way, I'm willing to bleep.
I mean, I
this
think it's
conversation.
just, I'm willing to give it a shot, but I think it's kind
do
of
my
a
best.
formality. That,
I'll
Yeah.
do my best because
I definitely want to give it a shot.
Okay, I'll try.
All right, so here we go.
and it wasn't until it was about a year after I posted it to where I woke up one day and it just started going around. I was really shocked because in my mind I'm like, that was me as a player like a year ago. So I'm thinking like, well, I'm thinking about the stuff I'm thinking about now and how I think that sounds. So it was pretty weird, and I don't know. It just sat there for a while, and then all of a sudden it didn't. So I don't know. It was kind of weird. And until that point, when I saw it start to get views, I hadn't considered doing any more Metallica. So then I thought, well, I have more ideas for these. Like I remember doing the 8 Metallica Ballads medley and thinking like, oh, Unforgiven would work really good here. But I thought, I don't want to just throw it in. Like actually, that would work really good if I made another one of these. Because I feel like the first one, it was important to me to put Nothing Else Matters on the end. Because if you haven't heard it before, you don't know what's coming. And you go through all these songs. And then there's kind of a big lead into it. And then when you hear that first E minor arpeggio, you immediately know what it is. And I just felt like I couldn't imagine a better song to conclude the medley. And so I thought Unforgiven was the same thing. So I thought, I don't want to just throw it in. It deserves to like anchor its own medley. So that's how I got the inspiration to do the 6 more Metallica ballads. So I was like, okay, I know only one thing at the beginning is going to end with Unforgiven. And then I kind of planned it out from there.
Cool.